Okay, well, welcome everyone to our January development event, which is on having a positive mindset in the new year. Just to let you know, this session is being recorded, so if you would prefer not to be on the recording, if you just turn your camera off. Also, if you could just make sure you're muted as well. We will encourage engagement throughout, so by all means use the chat function if you want to mention something, or there is a raise hand function as well if you struggle to find that. Use the chat or physically put your hand up if we can see you. Just to let you know, we have got some more upcoming events which are available to book on the Chamber's website as well. On the 9th of February, we've got How to Be a More Inclusive Leader, which is with Shani Danda. And there is every Wednesday a coffee and chat session, 1 till 2. So anyone who just fancies a bit of a break on a Wednesday lunchtime, bit of a chat, bit of a smile, by all means come along. There'll generally be a few committee members on there and a few members as well. So do come check it out. I'm going to hand over now to our first speaker for today's session. So can we please welcome Saran Moreno from Birmingham Women's and Children's Hospital charity. And with that, I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. And I'm just going to share my screen. But yeah, thank you. Huge thank you for having me here today. I'm Saran and I work at Birmingham Women and Children's Hospital charity. I love my job and I have the pleasure of working with some really fantastic businesses who support us across Birmingham. You know, our wellbeing is so important, and I think at the moment being open about how we feel and how we cope and actually how we support each other is more important than ever. So yeah, really looking forward to Zach's session that's going to follow. So I'm not a mental health professional. I do work with some fantastic colleagues who are, but today I was going to talk to you a little bit about supporting youth mental health across the West Midlands. So talk a little bit about the work that we do as a hospital and through Forward Thinking Birmingham, and touch on the landscape, you know, what's happening out there in Birmingham across our region at the moment, and share with you our new campaign, which is Fight for All the Feels. So I've only got around 15 minutes and it will be a bit of an overview, but hopefully enough time to sort of outline the work that we do in this space, and also spark some thoughts actually about how as a business community and how as a community we can come together to really support the mental health of a generation. So to start with, you know, mental health is health, and we're in a position at Birmingham Children's Hospital, because of our partnership with Forward Thinking Birmingham, to offer care to children and young people from self-referral at our pause centres in Digbeth, so a young person can go into our pause centres and ask for help whenever they need it without a referral, right through to more acute care, which is when a child or young person would need to stay with us for a period of time to support their recovery journey. So at our Parkview Clinic in Edgbaston, we've got 2 dedicated inpatient facilities. We've got a national leading eating disorder unit, which supports young people from the age of 11 to 18, and an acute assessment unit, which is where referrals will be made from across the region for young people with perhaps more serious mental health issues. And again, they'll have the opportunity to stay at the clinic and receive the care that they need as part of their recovery journey. But we're also home, we're also home to Forward Thinking Birmingham, and Forward Thinking Birmingham is a really innovative mental health partnership. It's doing work that's happening nowhere else in the UK, and it's unique for 2 main reasons. We support young people right up to the age of 25. And anywhere else in the UK at 18, a young person would get transferred to adult services. And I think this is where you put yourself in the shoes of an 18-year-old, you know, all the pressures that come alongside with being that age, on top of having mental health struggles, and then actually being told that that care is going to transfer to adult services. Well, we didn't think that was good enough. We don't think that's good enough. And that's why we support young people right through to the age of 25. And I mentioned self-referral earlier. So our pause, the Pause Centre in Digbeth is run in partnership with the Children's Society, and that allows young people to go in to talk to somebody about whatever they want to talk about and get signposted to the support that they need as well, which is really important. You know, this is without GP referral. And there's loads of work that happens across our community as well. So our STIC team work out in the community. STIC stands for Screening, Training, Intervention, Consultation and Knowledge. And that team work with over 450 schools. They do everything from offer mental health assessments to school-aged children. They train professionals who work with children and young people, and they also offer interventions as well. We've got a crisis team, so the crisis team are available round the clock for young people out in our community who need urgent care and help. And the community teams as well. There's 4 community hubs across Birmingham, and just a range of online support services and resources, which at the moment is really, really important. And this is our vision. This is a really powerful vision, forward-thinking Birmingham vision, and actually it's something that as a city we can all get behind. So the vision is to be the first city where mental health problems are not a barrier to children, young people and young adults, setting new and improved attitudes towards mental health for future generations. So yeah, just to talk a little bit about what's happening in our city at the moment. So, Birmingham is a young and diverse city. It's the youngest city in Europe. I think it's around 40% of our population that's under 25. And, I'm sure many of you will agree it's an absolutely brilliant place to live and to work. But it's young people who've been impacted, young people's mental health has been impacted significantly by COVID. I think over the last 12 months for all of us, there's been so much change to our routines, to our education, to our employment, our social lives. And on top of that, there's the sort of anxiety and nervousness really about what the future will hold. So we know that existing issues have been intensified, but new problems have been created as well. And actually, as a diverse city, we know that parts of our communities are going to be hit harder by COVID, and actually that it's children and young people who stand to be disproportionately affected by the fallout of the pandemic as well. And all of this is on the backdrop of the fact that, we know that there's been an increase in need for mental health support services nationally. So as many as 1 in 6 young people have experienced mental health issues, and it's around 100,000 young people who need support in our city at the moment. So we anticipate an increase in demand, and we know that areas like eating disorders, for example, during lockdown have increased. More people are struggling at the moment because they're isolated. And then, there's the economy, unemployment. We know that's something that's going to affect under 25s, and, that there's a link there with poor mental health as well. And this is a quote I wanted to share. This is from Elaine Kerwin, our Deputy Chief Nurse of Forward Thinking Birmingham. And I think it really brings home that now's the time for us to sort of intervene and make a difference. So our children are facing unprecedented challenges that are impacting directly on their mental well-being. We need to intervene now to avoid a generation lost to anxiety, depression and loneliness. So really just to bring home that now really is our moment. And on the 10th of October, World Mental Health Day, we launched Fight for All the Feels. Fight for All the Feels is a campaign that is recognising that we've got a moment to make change. And it's about raising awareness, it's about breaking down stigma, and it's about supporting and funding new and existing mental health services, not just for what children and young people need now, but thinking about the future as well. So at the heart of this campaign are young people with lived experience, and we worked with young people who helped us develop the campaign and also shared their stories and their experiences to encourage other young people to do the same. So the campaign is about connecting with the city's young people and speaking directly to them to raise awareness. Mental health issues can often be hidden, and we don't think that any young person shouldn't be able to speak up confidently and safely and actually have visibility of the support that's available and access that support as well. And Forward Thinking Birmingham is all about doing things differently, and we can be part of that by funding new and existing services within what they offer. And our first project is a peer support hub, and it's a really new and innovative project, and our ambition is to employ 20 peer support hub workers across 10 locations in Birmingham and Sutton Coldfield, and they're going to be working out in their communities, supporting the wellbeing of their communities. So it's the UK's first peer support hub of this kind, and peer support is provided by people who can relate to the people that they're working with because of their own experiences. So it may be that they've overcome mental health challenges themselves, and with the training that they receive, they're actually in a position to support their young support our young community, in a really relatable way. And I'm really pleased to let you know today that this is happening. You know, we're in a position where we're going to be able to employ 5 peer support hub workers and a team lead. So it's really exciting for us to think that we're going to be making change and we're going to be making a difference through the work that we're doing. And these, you know, I spoke earlier a little bit about how this has been very much led by our young people. This is Zainab and James, and they helped us and shared their stories as part of the campaign as well. And I will share links with you after if you want to have a little look at some of those stories that have been shared as part of the campaign. And this is just really a little bit about how you can get involved and work with us. You know, I appreciate that this is just 15 minutes to talk about the work that we're doing, but I think for anybody who might want to have a conversation about how perhaps they could get involved or talk specifically about any areas of what I've discussed, you know, me and the team would be more than happy to have that conversation with you, and follow our work, get involved. I talked earlier as well about this campaign being about raising awareness. So, you know, we really do want to connect with our young communities, and I think if there's an opportunity to do that, and you know, you can think of any ideas about how we can just elevate the messages of this campaign, that would be really helpful for the development of the campaign and helping people engage and get involved. So partnership and fundraising, you know, I've got to talk about partnership. I'm a head of corporate partnerships at the charity, but we know that partnerships that we have make possible what otherwise wouldn't be possible. And no 2 partnerships look the same. And I think the last 12 months have taught us that. We're working in very different ways with businesses at the moment. So that conversation is a conversation that, again, myself and the team would love to have. If there's anything you can do to get involved or support us more formally, we'd love to work in collaboration. And fundraising, you know, I think one of the reasons I really enjoy my job is because fundraising is fun, and there are some incredible challenges and events happening. And even though it looks and feels very different at the moment, there are some incredible events happening. So if you'd like to take on a challenge or get involved in any way, again, we can help you do that and help you plan your event. And really, with any discussion around mental health, I think it's important to sort of recognise that at any age, if we need to talk to somebody, it's really, really important to do so. So that, you know, I hope that's been really informative. This is us, this is our team. So B Sayer, B is actually a member of Future Faces, and I know she's joined the event today. Helen Miles is our corporate fundraising manager, and myself. All of our details are there. Please do get in touch, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Saran. That was brilliant, really insightful, and obviously it helps us understand how important this all is, as well as the incredible work you're doing. So please keep it up. Obviously, with mental health in mind, a big thing which is becoming obviously more visible nowadays is how important mindfulness can be, and how it can benefit all of us going forwards with our own mental health. So with that, I'm going to start to hand over to Zach Fairbank from Wellbeing in Your Office, who is here today to do some mindfulness tips and tricks with us, get my words out. Before I do, obviously that was a very fast, informative presentation. So can I ask you all just to take one very deep breath? Because this is going to be a completely different sort of path we're going down now. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Zach, please. Take it away.
Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Saran, for a great presentation. We're all affected, aren't we, with mental health? It's not just those with issues. We all have mental health to look after. So it's important we take responsibility for that and make sure that we're checking in with ourselves. We're living in uncertain times, so bringing a positive outlook to 2021, it's kind of difficult, isn't it? You know, with pandemic and post-Brexit and all the confusion. How do we do that? How do we bring some positivity to our lives with such uncertainty? Well, let's reflect. We've had a pretty stable Western world, haven't we, for many years? Our parents had the same. If we look back at some of the uncertainty that our grandparents or great-grandparents or even great-great-grandparents had. 2 world wars, the flu pandemic in 1916. They would have experienced a lot of uncertainty. They're experienced in it. We're not. And there's no judgment with that, is there? We just don't have the experience. So it's fine to feel these feelings of despair and demotivation in these times. But if we can look back to the times of our grandparents and realize they would have discovered opportunities, hope. They would have relied on hope to get through these things and discovered the sort of small opportunities in a day where their whole day has been affected by whatever's going on. So I'm Zach Fairbanks. I'm a mindfulness meditation teacher. I'm an Aikido teacher as well, which is an embodied form of mindfulness. And I'm co-founder of Wellbeing in Your Office, and we bring these services, including yoga and nutrition, to the workplace. So today, we're going to talk about mindfulness, and we're going to do some meditations, and we're going to see how mindfulness meditation can really help with mental health. So I guess the first question is, what is mindfulness meditation? What is this thing that is becoming popular that people are talking about? There's lots of ideas of what it is, but I'll quickly tell you about the guy who's kind of known as the godfather of mindfulness meditation, a guy called Jon Kabat-Zinn. Some of you may have heard of him. He's quite a guy. In 1979, he brought mindfulness meditation to the West after being a Zen student and a Buddhist student. And he kind of stripped away the framework of Buddhism to leave us with what we now know as mindfulness. So mindfulness really has been around for perhaps 2,500 years, practiced in Buddhism, maybe even longer. So he stripped away this religious framework and he set up clinics and programs that have been helping people across the world with stress, anxiety, pain, focus and resilience with remarkable clinical results. There's loads of research you can find on the internet. Don't do it now though. Now we're kind of going into being mode rather than doing. Okay, so leave Google alone is my suggestion for the moment. So mindfulness can be summarized as coming into awareness of the present moment with openness, curiosity and non-judgment. It's a type of awareness we come into after we meditate or practice being mindful. And why do we want to do that? Well, it frees up mental space. We can free up mental space, which can often be consumed by anxiety and sometimes rumination, which can cause depression. So we can often be worried about things, our checklists, the meetings that are coming up, all the pre-living that we call it. It's kind of pre-living, isn't it? When we start to worry about something, we're trying to worry about being there, trying to almost be there. And then we find our bodies become tense, we get nervous, we get anxious, because we're kind of pre-living. And in the past, we might be regretting something. So we're kind of living in the past, thinking, what if I'd done that differently? What if I'd done that? That would have been better if I'd done that. And then what we forget is that the present moment is being ignored. So mindfulness helps us be present. And if we're present, we're actually living. Because if you agree that you only really live when you're in the present moment, when you're busy worrying or busy regretting, you're no longer really living. So we could be missing out on so much in our lives if we can't remain present for the moments that we're in, regardless of what those moments are. Even if they're bad, can we just remain present for them? So this is the idea of mindfulness meditation. So how do we do it? How do we get more present? Well, we have formal meditations and informal meditations to do that. Formal meditations are what you might perceive meditation to be, an awareness of coming into the breath, maybe with the eyes closed, and starting to witness your thoughts and feelings, and learning to become non-attached to them. And that's really important because we have to start to learn that we're not our thoughts. We're not our thoughts. Could raise the question, couldn't it? If we're not our thoughts, who are we? A student asked me that once. If I'm not my thoughts, Zach, who am I? It's a good question, no? Well, we're the person seeing our thoughts. We're the person witnessing our thoughts. And when we do that, we can look at thoughts as kind of mental events. We can look at thoughts as things not necessarily to get attached to, because getting attached to thoughts can start to spiral into negative thoughts and other negative thoughts, and they can become automatic. We can start to reprogram our brains to have these negative automatic thoughts. So becoming present and witnessing our thoughts means we're left with positive choices. So for example, in the bed this morning, we're in winter and it's dark, and the alarms went off this morning for most of us. And we probably had the feeling of, no, I just want to stay in bed. I don't want to get out of bed. It's warm. It's cold outside. I don't want to get out of bed. Now we could attach to that and stay in bed and snooze our alarm for 3 or 4 times. Or we could witness it as a suggestion from our brains and think and accept it's there and do something about it and get out of bed. That's just a small example of the power of our minds to give us these suggestions. So informal meditations. Well, informal meditations is where we can start to bring attention to whatever the task we're doing right now. That could be having a cup of tea. Could we have a cup of tea mindfully? Could we bring all our attention to that cup of tea, smelling the aroma of the tea? Just sitting with that and doing nothing else, bringing full attention. That's one example of an informal meditation. So mindfulness is all about bringing attention to what we're doing. And we're going to do a short body scan now, which is going to be a formal meditation. And then we'll talk a little bit about automatic pilot and how that affects us and how that may affect your morning routine, and how then we can lead on from today with a more mindful life. So let's do a body scan. So if you're sitting comfortably with your backs relatively upright, and if you can bring your feet to the ground and cross them if they're crossed, and bring your hands to your lap, just comfortably rested on your lap. And making sure your phones are off and ideally out of sight. We want nothing to disturb you. These moments are for you. This is for your mental health and your physical health. So what to expect? I'm going to do this body scan. I'm going to guide you, your awareness around your body on different body parts. And you may experience different sensations. You may become relaxed. You may not be relaxed. You may notice irritation. You may notice judgments coming up. You may think, this is boring. Why am I doing this? Don't worry, they're just judgments. They're just your mind giving you judgments. So these things might float up. So don't worry if you don't relax. The intention of meditation is not necessarily to be calm. It's just to be aware. The calmness comes as a secondary result of meditation. So sitting comfortably, hands on your lap, just start to bring your eyes to a close. Start to just have a sensation of your feet on the ground, feeling the support of the ground, allowing your legs to relax, knowing they're supported on the floor beneath you. And then get an awareness of the chair supporting you as you can relax. Getting a feel of the chair. And now start to bring some awareness to your breath. Where is it noticeable for you? Maybe in your abdomen, maybe in your chest. You notice the rise and the fall. Maybe in your nose. You can feel cold air entering and the warm air leaving. So don't try and change the pace or the depth of the breath in any way. Don't assume it should be in a certain way. Just notice how it is right now. And as we go through this meditation, your mind will wander. And if it does, just label where it's gone and gently bring it back to the breath or the body part that we're bringing attention to. For this is the practice of meditation, not to clear your mind, but to practice bringing it back to the present when it has wandered. It may wander once, 10 times, 1,000 times, but without any punity, with compassion, just lead it back to the breath or the body part. So now start to bring attention down your left leg to your knee, past your knee, down your lower leg, to your left foot, and now bringing attention to your left big toe. How does it feel? Does it have a feeling? Can you notice any sensation, maybe with your socks or shoes or even the floor? And if it doesn't have a sensation, then just notice that. Now start to move your attention to the other toes. Do they have any sensations? Moving along to your little toe on your left foot. But we're bringing attention to the body now in this meditation. And the body is essentially the conduit for emotions. The more aware we are of our bodies, the more aware we are of emotions, the more we can then do something about them. So this is the practice of body scanning. So start now breathing from your nose all the way through your body, using your imagination to breathe all the way down your left leg to your left foot. And if you can, breathing out from your left foot, up your leg, through your body, and out of your nose. And you may start to feel discomfort in areas of your body. There may be a tendency to want to scratch an itch on the face. Tends to be common. See if you can just breathe into that. See if you can not scratch. And if there is some discomfort, see if you can just breathe into that. And while we go around the body with this meditation, come back to the body part we're on when you've breathed into that discomfort. If there is discomfort that you need to move, then just move mindfully. Just move slowly in a position that gives you the comfort you need. So now moving your attention from the left foot to the left ankle, to the left shin, the calf, noticing the sensations of the lower left leg, the left knee, noticing any thoughts or judgments that rise up. What's he doing this for? Why am I breathing into my leg? They're all judgments. Just let them go. Come back to the breath. Come back to the body part. Breathing now into the left thigh. Can you now breathe and bring attention to the whole of the left leg? You bring attention to the left hip. We hold lots of emotion in our hips. Can you feel the sensation from your left hip? And remember, if your mind wanders, just lead it back to the breath and the body part. And moving across now to the right leg. Down the right leg, past the knee, down to the right foot, and to the right big toe. How does it feel? Does it feel different to the other toe? Is there a sensation you can sense, detect? Maybe the temperature. Or maybe there's nothing. Just notice that if there is. And moving your awareness now through the other toes, noticing the sensations, till you're landing on your right little toe. And bringing your attention now to the whole of the right foot. Can you breathe all the way down your body and right leg to your right foot? Can you breathe out from your right foot, up your leg, through your body and out of your nose? Bringing your attention now to the right ankle, noticing sensations of the right ankle, the right shin, the right calf, the whole of the lower right leg, the right knee, the right thigh, the whole of the right leg, bringing attention to the whole of the right leg. Maybe it feels different to the left leg. Just notice that. Bringing your attention to the right hip. Bringing your attention to the whole of the lower area with your hips, your abdomen, and all around. Bringing your attention now to your chest. Maybe you can feel your heart beating. How does it make you feel? Can you just notice how it makes you feel? Bringing your attention to your shoulders. Bringing your attention now down your arms to both of your hands. Can you notice how your hands are feeling? Are they feeling heavy, light, warm or cold? How do they feel? Do they tingle? Are there sensations you can notice? Bringing your attention now to the forearms. To the elbows. To the upper arms. To the whole of your arms. Bringing attention to the whole of your arms. Breathing down to your fingers. Breathing out from your fingers, up your arms, through your nose. Bringing your attention now to your neck. Noticing all the sensations from your neck. Bringing your attention now to your jaw. You notice any tension in your jaw. And you breathe into that. Relax it slightly. Bringing your attention to your nose. Bringing your attention to your eyes. Your forehead. Bringing your attention to the whole of your head. Bringing your attention to the crown of the head. Bringing your attention to the whole of your body. Breathing into the whole of your body. Noticing the sensations, comforts and discomforts, thoughts and feelings of your whole body. So now, we take a few moments just to come back. Just start to open your eyes when you're ready. Have a little stretch, if it feels comfortable to do so. Welcome back. So that was the body scan. And this body scan is a really important meditation. It can really start to connect your mind, yourself with your body, with the different aspects. And many of you might have had different experiences with that. And by all means, put things in the chat if you would. Normally we'd do a bit of inquiry and get people to talk, but we have a bit of limited time, so it's a bit difficult. But please share in the chat anything that came up for you that you're happy to share. No pressure. So yeah, body scanning. Sometimes we can't even feel some of our parts of our body. We don't know them. We don't really connect with them. But by doing the body scan regularly, we can start to get better in tune to our bodies. And as I said before, the body is the conduit for emotions, and emotions are generated in the body. Feelings are our conscious interpretation of emotions. So once we start better to understand our emotions and detect them, we can be better placed to do more about them. We can anticipate some of the feelings that we'll get from them. So I want to talk to you a little bit now about autopilot. So autopilot, as many of you I'm sure know, is incredibly important for the human brain. We couldn't drive a car without it. It helps us conserve brain energy. But one of the problems with autopilot is we can mind wander. How many of you have driven a car and not really remembered the last few miles? I know I have. How have I got here? I just don't remember driving these few miles, you know. So autopilot comes with a responsibility for us to keep aware of what we're doing. Because the problem is, if we agree that really living is about being in the present moment. Being on autopilot and mind wandering means we're constantly out of the present moment. And how many times in the day are we on autopilot? Well, let's have a think. Your morning, for example. Each of us have a morning. We get up, we open the curtains, we have a shower, brush our teeth, have breakfast at some point, we get dressed, and say we're going out to a meeting, which is not very usual at the moment, but say we're going out to a meeting. It's an important meeting. Yeah, it's going to make a big difference, this meeting. We might be quite anxious about it. We might be quite worried about it. Maybe you're presenting to 25 lovely people, a mindfulness session. You might be quite worried about it. So say it's at 10 o'clock and you've got up at 7. You could be 3 hours in autopilot, getting up, doing everything on autopilot, bathing, having breakfast, driving in your car to your meeting, worrying about your meeting. So you could argue that in those 3 hours, worrying about your meeting, having it in your head while you're brushing your teeth, eating your breakfast, driving your car, that you haven't really been present for your 3 hours. You haven't really been living those 3 hours. So the other aspect to consider is you're then carrying the anxiety and the worry until your meeting. Now, the meeting is where you're probably going to get fully present because it's an important meeting. Maybe you've not met these people before. Maybe you've not presented to these people before. So you're going to be fully focused and fully present. But the 3 hours before, you've been carrying anxiety and worry. You may be carrying anxiety and worry from other things from the previous day, from the previous week, from the previous month. So by actively becoming present for those things that we do on autopilot, we can interrupt the anxieties and the worries that can cause us negative thoughts. By actively getting out of bed, opening the curtains perhaps, and looking what's outside, being really mindful and coming into that present moment of what's outside, can start to interrupt and start to practice being present. And this is where I was talking before about informal meditations. So we can do that ourselves. In Japan, they call it Zanshin. Zanshin means awareness. And the practice of coming into awareness, the Japanese will do it with bathing. So just as we have a shower, as they have a shower, they will practice coming into awareness, having a shower. How can you do that having a shower? I've had some of my best conversations in the shower with my meetings, but that's not a great place to be present. Being present in your shower means perhaps noticing the soap. What does it smell like? What does it feel like? These are how we can use our senses to become more present. So I'm not suggesting that you're going to really enjoy having a shower tomorrow or opening the curtains, but we can practice being present by using our senses, all of our senses, when we're in these different aspects of our morning. And if we do that, becoming more present, starting to notice our thoughts and not getting attached to them, we'll let calm and joy enter our lives and we'll interrupt the worry that can get in the way of having a joyful, positive life. So, have we got a bit of time? We've got 5 minutes, Jackie.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of time if anyone's got any questions. I know for one that was really relaxing, and you have such a lovely voice for that body scan. Every time I meditate, I don't know if it's the same for anyone else, my stomach rumbles. Whether I've eaten, not eaten, it doesn't matter, every single time without fail, and it always makes me smile. But as someone who has a history of migraines and knows very well how much stress can affect us both mentally and physically, it's definitely a really good practice to get into. So if anyone's got any questions, we've got probably about 10 minutes or so, whether the questions are for Zach or Saran, by all means either use their hands up and ask, or there's a chat function available. I will ask one to start off, Zach, while we wait for questions to come in. What was it that made you first want to go into your line of work?
Good question. many people that do my line of work come because they needed it. So it was necessity, really, Jackie. I was quite ill at university. I had to leave because of my mental health. I suffered anxiety and stress at secondary school, panic attacks. And while at Aikido helped me a lot, I've been studying Aikido for 35 years. It wasn't as accessible as meditation and yoga. So I kind of had a breakdown at uni, left, and then burnt out in my career as well, in my sales and hospitality career. But then eventually I discovered yoga and meditation, and that really helped me. So I meditate now every day, and 20 minutes a day, and do yoga for about 30 minutes a day, and that really helps me. So yeah. The nutrition side, I developed inflammatory bowel disease as well 6 years ago, thinking I had a great diet, but I didn't, clearly. I went to a nutritionist and they took me off grain and dairy. I'm not saying that's for everyone with inflammatory bowel disease, but it worked for me. And all my symptoms dissipated. And I haven't had symptoms now for 4 years. So, but it's also the yoga and meditation that help with that, because inflammatory bowel disease is triggered by stress. A lot. So
Okay.
a long answer to your question, but that's
No,
my...
that's okay. We had a question come in from Beatrice to say about how often you do it, which obviously you've answered, but 20 minutes a day is a lot for someone who's starting out. So would you recommend it's best to just set aside 20 minutes and just go for it, or to build it up?
No, because one of the aspects of meditation and mindfulness is non-striving. So if you start to strive to become calm or to do 20 minutes, then you're kind of negating what you're trying to do. So if you find it difficult to sit there and meditate, which most people will, I did. I started at 3 minutes. I have a client that couldn't even do 3 minutes. They just started with one breath, just as you started the session, Jackie. Just one mindful breath, and then build on it. But the practice is just about doing it every day. If you can't do it every day, then be compassionate to yourself. Don't beat yourself up for not doing it, but every day in consistent practice, you'll be able to build. So yeah, build up from 3, 5, 8, 10, and get up to 20. And one of the things that meditation you'll find is that the more you do it, the more time you'll have, because you'll be able to be better focused, and you'll clear your mind of some of the thoughts and distractions that we can find ourselves doing. So suddenly you find yourself better focused, getting things done quicker, getting things done easier, and going, oh, I've got time to meditate. So
brilliant. There's a question from Graham here, whether you recommend any particular resources to learn more, books, etc.
Sure. There you go. This is Mindfulness, Mark Williams, Danny Penman. These guys are brilliant. And John Kabat-Zinn. Anything from John Kabat-Zinn. The Full Catastrophe is a huge book. It looks like a Bible, but it's well worth a read. And with this guy, I don't work for them. I don't get anything for this. But they've got a CD in the back as well.
Brilliant.
So
I'm actually sure that one's already in my Amazon basket. I tend to add stuff when I see it, and then when I want to treat myself, I just sort of dig into it. I'm pretty sure that one's actually in there because I recognise it.
It's got all the meditation, because the body scan meditation is great, but eventually we want to try and practice to meditate without prompt, without guide. But the body scan's a great one to do in the evening. I do it often before I go to sleep. I often fall asleep, which is not the intention, but it is a very relaxing meditation to do.
Okay, and on that note, it's a question from Joanna asking about the best time to meditate. Obviously, you've mentioned sort of before sleep, but is there an ideal, or is it just whenever suits?
Meditating in the morning before you start your day is a great way of becoming present, and then you can be quite focused in what you're doing. But what I suggest, and we do an 8-week program with people, either one-to-one or in small groups, which is quite an intensive program. It's a clinically proven program, and it's got some amazing transformational properties. But we suggest morning, and then throughout the day, some 3-minute meditations. So before perhaps a task, before you sit down for a project, is do a 3-minute meditation. And even if it's just a 1 minute, but just practice coming into your breath, coming into the present moment. And then put on top of that some of the things I discussed at the end about using the already things that you do to be mindful about. So if you like walking, if you have a dog, for example, be more in that. Use all your senses when you go for a walk. Instead of thinking about work, be in the walk. What I used to do, I'll quickly tell you, when I was setting up my business, I used to take my daughter, who's now 2.5, for a walk in the pram. We used to walk around Harborne, where we live, and I'd start thinking and strategizing about the business, start thinking all these things. This is a great opportunity. I've got all this time. And I get home, and I was like, oh, I've got to do it now. I've got to do it. And I kind of felt sort of demotivated from all the wonderful thoughts I'd had. It's like, I kind of pushed through. And then I realized, I was like, I'm doing this all wrong. When I go for my walk, I should be in my walk. So let's be present for the walk. So we practiced. So I went and did that, and I used the smell, what I could see, what I could hear, what I could feel through my walk. And that really helped me be present, because my mind was really wanting to go to my to-do list and my strategizing in my business. So these way of using the senses can help you really ground you. And then when I got home, all the ideas came, and I had all the energy and the mental energy to focus doing it. Because previously I just used up well, not all, but a lot of the mental energy. So being present for what you're doing at the time. When you're making your coffee in the morning, have a breath. When you're waiting for your computer to boot up, don't start writing a to-do list. Take some breathing. You can do your to-do list in 2 minutes when your computer's booting up.
I'm definitely guilty of that on the to-do list while everything's starting up.
We think we're being productive, don't we? We think it's all being productive, multitasking. We're not designed to multitask. Humans aren't good at multitasking. It uses too much, and we spread our brain energy too thin. One thing at a time, if you can. Sometimes we have to multitask, I understand that. But where possible, close down your browsers, close down your Excel spreadsheets. Just use the ones you're using. All these tiny little things will help you be more present for what you're doing, because your brain subconsciously is attaching to all the browsers, all the Excel spreadsheets. It's still holding them in mind. So there's so many little ways that we can be more mindful. It's not just about the meditations.
Okay, thank you. There's one more question. We've probably got time for one more after this. If anyone's still got one, just drop it in the chat. But there's a question saying, are there any particular online resources or apps you'd recommend? So Catherine's recently downloaded the Calm app, which she's found quite helpful. But have you got any thoughts on that one or others that people might find useful?
Yeah, Calm's great. The only thing with apps is you lack the personal touch. You're not with a person. But there's absolutely, anything that's benefiting you becoming present, like Calm, is an apps of that thought are great. The things on YouTube as well, you can download meditations. It's, you can do drop-in classes. We do drop-in classes that you can drop in and just have some guided meditation, have a bit of discussion as we're doing now. Because often the perception of mindfulness meditation is that we should be clearing our minds, and that's not what we're doing with mindfulness. It's becoming aware. So all emotions, anger, joy, resentment, all these kind of things, we in mindfulness, we're not trying to get away from anger. We're trying to face anger. We're trying to actually get some distance from it, but look at it. So having some understanding about what mindfulness is important before meditating. It's not about clearing your mind. But yeah, to answer your question, there's lots of resources. YouTube is good for getting some guided meditations, and Calm, recommend them.
Brilliant, thank you. Does anyone else have any final questions before we end today's session?
Can I, Jackie, just ask everybody to do a couple of things before we leave?
Yeah, of course you can.
Would that be all right, guys? So we talked about the morning routine, the autopilot. Can you write down 3 things that you could do mindfully from tomorrow? 3 things that you could bring more attention to tomorrow. to help you become more present and more focused. Got a minute on that. And while you're doing that, one of the problems that we face at the moment is our routine can be quite demotivating in the times that we're in. So if you're finding yourself demotivated, if you're finding yourself tired, which many of us are at the moment, because the lack of contact with people has a tremendous effect on humans. You know, we are social creatures. We like to touch and be around each other. We don't get that as much now. So one of the things that can help is to interrupt these negative thoughts, these thought patterns, these feelings, is by changing your routine. So can you write down 2 things that you could change tomorrow in your routine? And that could be just change the position of your chair when you have breakfast, or when you're in your office. Could you sit somewhere else? Could you sit slightly differently? Just interrupt so you have another viewpoint, so you can become more present. 2 things there. And the last one, which you don't need to do now, is we've heard about gratitude and the positive effects that gratitude can give. And it's proven why, because having gratitude will make you think positive feelings, will give you feelings of hope. But a lot of people talk about having 3 gratitudes in the morning. But in mindfulness, we talk about having 10. It's a lot, isn't it, 10? How am I going to be grateful for 10 things in a pandemic? Well, that's the point, because you've got to find 10. And when you start to stretch your mind in terms of being grateful, you start to stretch the positivity that comes with that. You start to seek out the opportunities within your life currently that are positive, that you can be grateful for. Things that you may not have thought I could be grateful for. I don't care if it's lipstick. If you love your lipstick and you're grateful for a great lipstick, be grateful for your lipstick. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as you mean it, as long as you're grateful for it. It could be pizza. It could be your child smiling at you. It could be the fact that we had snow and we had fun in the snow. Grateful for snow. And sometimes we can be judging this, can't we? Oh, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do these things. This is silly. They're just judgments. Let go of those judgments and have a go at it. That's what I say.
Thank you, Zach. I definitely have to start writing a list of 10, see how many I can get easily, and then how long it takes me to work on the others. My top tip to anyone as well, starting out and struggling with the gratitude, I started off every morning in my morning routine while the kettle's boiling. Every morning I find something to look forward to that day. So it might just be going out for a walk on lunch. It might be a Zoom call where I can actually see people, so I'm not stuck on my own all day. It could be anything, logging off work on time and treating yourself to a glass of whatever you like, just something that you're looking forward to, and you'll find that when that time comes, you will appreciate that thing so much more.
Brilliant.
So thank you so much, Zach, Saran, for joining us today. Anyone's got any questions, I'm sure you're willing for them to reach out to yourselves directly.
Yeah, please do.
Who's not asked any questions here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining on your lunch break, or whether you're listening in. Hopefully you found the body scan particularly useful as well. So let us know how you get on practicing those at home, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Saran.